More than 25 million people in the world today are affected by dementia, most suffering from Alzheimer's disease. In both developed and developing nations, Alzheimer's disease has had a tremendous impact on the affected individuals, caregivers, and society. The etiological factors, other than older age and genetic susceptibility, remain to be determined. Increasing evidence strongly points to the potential risk roles of vascular risk factors and disorders, example cigarette smoking, midlife high blood pressure and obesity, diabetes and cerebrovascular lesions, and the possible beneficial roles of psychosocial factors, example high education, active social engagements, physical exercise, and mentally stimulating activity in the pathogenetic process and clinical manifestation of the dementic disorder. The long-term multi-domain interventions towards the optimal control of multiple vascular risk factors and the maintenance of socially integrated lifestyles and mentally stimulating activities are expected to reduce the risk of or postpone the clinical onset of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. According to the latest WHO data published in 2020, Alzheimer's and dementia deaths in Sri Lanka reached 6,939 or 5.98% of total deaths. The age-adjusted death rate is 27.62 per 100,000 of population, ranks Sri Lanka 14th in the world. Where are the lowest rates of Alzheimer's in the world? As written by Michael Gregor, MD, FACLM. The rates of dementia differ greatly around the world, from the lowest rates in Africa, India, and South Asia to the highest rates in Western Europe and especially North America. Is it all just genetics? Well, the incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's is significantly lower for Africans in Nigeria than for African Americans in Indianapolis, for example, up to 5 times lower.
Research from the Alzheimer's Association says African Americans have twice the risk of developing the disease than white Americans. Argento Neal explains why life stressors and trauma contribute.
Gwendolyn Taylor's father, Gurney Taylor, saw a lot in his lifetime, fighting World War II, being a part of the first Mid-Michigan Honor Flight, living through the segregated South, and even witnessing
Alzheimer's rates of Japanese Americans living in the U.S. are closer to that of Americans than to Japanese. When people move from their homeland to the United States, Alzheimer's rates increase dramatically. Therefore, when Africans or Asians live in the United States and adopt a Western diet, their increase in Alzheimer's risk suggests that it's not genetics. Unfortunately, one doesn't have to move to the West to adopt a Western diet. The prevalence of dementia in Japan has shot up over the last few decades. Mechanisms to explain this in Japan includes increases in cholesterol, saturated fat, and iron from increases in the consumption of animal products. Traditional diets are generally weighted towards vegetable products such as grains and away from animal products. But since 1960, the diet in Japan has changed from a more traditional rice-based diet to one with a preponderance of meat. From 1961 to 2008, meat and animal fat increased considerably where the rice supply dropped. The dietary factor most strongly associated with the rise in Alzheimer's disease in Japan was the increased consumption of animal fat. If any of your loved ones have these changes, you need to suspect Alzheimer's disease. Loss of balance or coordination, stiff muscles, feet that shuffle or drag when you walk, trouble standing or sitting up in a chair, weak muscles and fatigue, when and how much you sleep, trouble controlling your bladder or bowels, seizures and uncontrollable twitches. Difference between dementia and Alzheimer's. Dementia is a name for a group of brain disorders that make it hard to remember, think clearly, make decisions, or even control your emotions. Alzheimer's disease is one of those disorders. Can brain exercises prevent dementia? Scientists need to know more research to find out for sure. But a number of studies show there are benefits to staying mentally active. Groundbreaking new Curtin University-led research has discovered a likely cause of Alzheimer's disease in a significant finding that offers potential new prevention and treatment opportunities for Australians' second leading cause of death. Groundbreaking new Curtin University-led research has discovered a likely cause of Alzheimer's disease in a significant finding that offers potential new prevention and treatment opportunities for Australia's second leading cause of death. The study, published in the PLOS Biology journal and tested on mouse models, identified that a probable cause of Alzheimer's disease was a leakage from the blood into the brain of fat-carrying particles transporting toxic proteins. Lead investigator Curtin Health Innovation Research Institute CHIRI Director Professor John Mamo said his collaborative group of Australian scientists had identified the probable blood-to-brain pathway that can lead to Alzheimer's disease, the most prevalent form of dementia globally. While we previously knew that the hallmark feature of the people living with Alzheimer's disease was the progressive accumulation of toxic protein deposits within the brain called beta amyloid, researchers did not know where the amyloid originated from or why it deposited in the brain, Professor Mamo said. Our research shows that these toxic protein deposits that form in the brains of people living with Alzheimer's disease most likely leak into the brain from fat-carrying particles in blood called lipoproteins. This blood-to-brain pathway is significant because if we can manage the levels in blood of lipoprotein amyloid and prevent their leakage into the brain, this opens up potential new treatments to prevent Alzheimer's disease and slow memory loss. Building on previous award-winning research that showed beta amyloid is made outside the brain with lipoproteins, Professor Mamo's team tested the groundbreaking blood-to-barrier pathway by genetically engineering mouse models to produce human amyloid-only liver that makes lipoproteins.
Didn't expect Alzheimer's in her design. She was diagnosed last year.
So I have photo albums that help, me reminisce about all the things I've forgotten. I take it day by day. It's really hard, not just for me, but for my loved ones.
Rob Jack watched his wife Margaret suffer for years.
Be like a child, you just had to keep track of where she was or where she would be at certain times.
Researchers have now unlocked the likely cause of the disease, and it's in the blood.
There's been no studies which have identified and considered, let's remove the insult which is causing the injury via the bloodstream.
The insult is a toxic fat protein which can leak into the brain, causing inflammation and killing brain cells. The research revealing proteins that cause Alzheimer's are being produced outside of the brain.
Our cholesterol is a risk factor for heart disease. We think we've identified a very significant risk factor for Alzheimer's that we can treat.
Alzheimer's is Australia's second biggest killer, and a clinical trial has now kicked off which could see it treated with a simple tablet. A tablet that's been on the market before to reduce cholesterol. Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
Hope this video presentation on Alzheimer's disease was useful. Keep your brain active and walk for over an hour per day. Stay safe and goodbye for now.